let's you and I sit down and really talk about this Scott Martin withdrawing from the Bassmaster Elites. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new, my name is Steve Chapman. I've covered bass fishing for a lot of years, and this recent withdrawal from Scott Martin from the Bassmaster Elites has really changed the dynamic of what we're dealing with in the hobby and sport. Now, I made a video saying, is he going to be disqualified? Just a few days ago. And a lot of people liked it, a lot of people disliked it. Scott did not like it. And I understand it wasn't meant to be a knock against Scott, but it was questioning what was going on right then. Now, I made another video just yesterday with all of Scott's, the way he is coming out in his story, in his narrative. Let's just keep it real. That was only Scott talking there. I had said that I would be very honest and true with y'all and Scott when I did that video. And at the time of doing it, it was a rush to not only get it out and to talk about, but I wasn't able to really dive into what he had told me and what I know that happens in the sport from covering it for so many years. We need to make a few things clear right off the bat. Bass is not the bad guy in this situation. Bass has rules that anglers need or want enforced directly. That if you make a mistake or if you go contact someone and the no information rule is breached, that you are disqualified. They want as much as possible to have a level playing field for all the anglers. And you have to remember, I know there's some super fans of Scott. The truth is, even though he talked to that angler, it is soliciting information of the no information rule. That is against the rules. He was going to get disqualified, or he was going to have to withdraw from the elites because they weren't going to allow him to fish that Pasquotank River. He didn't want to fish it at the Pasquotank to start off with. He felt like after Okeechobee and all the grief that caused him and his family and his friends, that he didn't want anything more. But the truth of the matter is, he wasn't going to be able to fish it anyway, unless he passed b.a.s.s polygraph. That's the key here. It's great that he went and hired people to administer that polygraph, but that has no bearing in b.a.s.s system. They say it openly in the contract that the anglers state. You must pass our truthful, or whatever it is, that you must pass b.a.s.s polygraph, or else you're disqualified. Next, a lot of people have asked, who is the rat? Who is the person who turned Scott in? The angler who turned Scott in shouldn't be crucified or shouldn't be told that they did something wrong. Again, we're going to keep it real here. As much as some fans and people aren't going to like everything that's said right now. But that angler did it because if he didn't, and it came out later on, he could have gotten in trouble too. These anglers are trying to police themselves and police others. That there is a level playing field for all of them. That the goalposts are here, not over here and not over here. That angler has said, this is between Bass and Scott, not between me and Scott. So everyone asking who the angler is and getting mad or thinking that, that rat should be called out, that is not the case. That angler did what was right. And we need to remember it. There's rules to this game. And if you break the rules are going to be enforced. And that's what all these anglers wanted. And unfortunately, there's some slight inconsistencies in the whole situation. We'll probably never know both sides to the story. What we do know is that, yes, he did talk to that person, and that person protested, and he got in trouble for it. It is against the rules to do that. He admits that in his video. If it's too far away or it isn't, it was still within the borders of the rules and the waterway that they were going to fish on the Pasquotank. And for anglers or fans to think, well, it was 50 or 100 or 700 miles away. Anglers will drive a country mile to find fresh fish. Some of these guys drive 70, 90, 150 miles. So imagine that a circle around that area and saying this is off period, this is off limits. And then asking somebody that you talked to on Facebook, somehow found his number, I don't know how that worked, and then you talked about someplace that was different. It was in the boundaries of that waterway. And Scott administering his own polygraph helps him. And I even told him I wouldn't take Bass's polygraph because I don't think well, first off, you can't pass it. You've admitted that you did this and there's no passing it. But how do you try to save as much face and try to take a step forward instead of 10 steps back? And the whole situation is toxic, to be honest. You can be on one side or you can be on the other side. It's hard to be right down the middle and say, here's what's happening. And the question I say is, what don't we know? There's more to this story that's going to probably come out over the long haul. But what don't we know right now? We have one narrative from Scott that we heard, and you heard his video and everything else. But Bass isn't saying their narrative. They haven't looked into the situation. I don't even know if they will look into the situation. But their side of the story matters too. There's always two sides to the story. And I think at some point, Bass will probably look back at what happened at Okeechobee and how the parade went, and then go, look, maybe we made a mistake. Maybe we should have been more upfront and more transparent in what happened. But we won't know that. The one thing Bass does really well is they've done it for years. If they've hidden things from the media, from fans, and from the anglers. That is not a knock against them. They don't want to disparage or defame one of their anglers. Because if one of those anglers has one of their sponsors, there's a conflict there. And Bass isn't here to knock anybody. They're trying to put out the best product that they can and make sure that everyone is at a level playing field. And we must remember, when Scott in his video admits that he talked to that angler, doesn't matter if it was too far or whatever it was going to get him disqualified any way you look at it. But what don't we know? That's the question. Now, I'm not sure I'll be the person to figure it out, but I know there's been lots of people today that have called me and said, did Scott pay you for that video? And Scott did not pay me anything for that video. I thought I was rushing to get that video out, and I was trying to cover his side of the story. And we have to remember, we're only hearing one side of the story. And I appreciate all of Scott's fans and all the people who have commented and tell me how much they love Scott. I know for a fact he appreciates you. But what don't we know? Is there more to this story? That's what I want you to tell me. And I should say, Bass isn't helping me to put this video out. For whatever reason, I feel like I have been blackballed by Bass here recently. I think that I try to be objective and unbiased as possible. Some people don't think that. I apologize for that. But I really think that, well, for me, I would really like to hear exactly what Bass thinks or what they're going to do. But I don't know if they're going to do this. I don't know if they want to defame Scott Martin or have his superfan crew come after them. Because that's what happens. And we need to look at it very clearly and objectively and say, what's going on here? And remember that Bass didn't do this directly at him. They had rules in place for him and for the other anglers. and you abide by those rules. And if you don't, you'll be kicked out or you'll be disqualified. And Scott withdrawing eliminated them from disqualifying him at Pasquotank. And again, I'm not trying to slander Scott or say anything bad about him. His following and him as a person, he's been as upfront as anything in that last video. But I want to know if there's more. So what do you think? Comment below and tell me what you think. Thanks for hitting that like and subscribe button. Thanks to all the new members and subscribers and all the people who are interactive on the channel. I really, really appreciate it. It's been phenomenal. Really phenomenal. But if you're not a subscriber, do me a favor, click that button. If you're one of those 77% of the people who watch the channel and don't subscribe, haven't subscribed, shame on you. Do me a favor, click that button and welcome to the team. Friday nights we go live, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We talk fishing. Talk everything else. If you're free, want to talk fishing, have some fun, meet some new people, come over and join the stream. Remember, take a kid fishing, tight lines, cheers, and get your fish on.